Welcome back. 7:45 is your time. You're watching and listening to Breakfast with Martin and Anne.
And joining us to go through what's making the news in the papers, Stephanie Tecci and Susan Holder. And it's lovely to see you again. Right, we're kicking off, Susan, with the spread of AI in music. I'll bet you this is something that you talk about with your lovely husband.
Yes, yes, it is. It has been a topic of conversation.
Noddy, by the way.
Yes, Noddy Holder, he of Slade fame, where no AI, of course, was involved in any of that. No artificial intelligence.
But
although
it could be now.
It could, well, it could be now, and it will be, and it could be in the future. I mean, I suppose you could have somebody approximating Slade music and bringing that out, and I'm sure that is kind of on the cards and being done. And this is why Guy Chambers, who is the songwriter known for working with Robbie Williams, has called it terrifying for the industry, really, because and he's actually saying that in future he thinks there'll have to be records will have to be stamped with a "this is an all-human record" label, so that no AI was involved and that you actually are buying something that was a product of someone's imagination, someone's talent, someone's skill, and not something that was computer generated. And although there's lots of things that it's great for, especially, I mean, in technical things, I mean, been huge advances in recording engineering and technical things. I mean, my son's a recording engineer and works in 360 surround sound. That's an amazing...
Wow.
I know. Don't ask me. I don't understand it, but that's what he does. And all that is great. It's kind of a new way of listening to music. It's kind of an immersive experience. So I'm not kind of a Luddite in that way. But at the same time, I do think you want humanity to be involved in a creative process. I also can't... back in the day where we used to watch Tomorrow's World, surely they told us that computers were going to do all the boring things and free us up to be creative. And as a writer, why is Amazon now flooded with AI-generated books? And and it's really hard to get your own work out there. Why are we not doing the making music, making films, acting, writing? Those are the things we should be doing, not let the computers take over.
It's interesting, Steph. If you go on to YouTube, there are already astonishing kind of vocals of John Lennon singing David Bowie songs. There's Space Oddity, where Lennon sings it, and it actually really does sound and look like him doing it. So it's already happening. I guess the big worry, if you're a recording artist, is if you play someone's voice into some software, it emulates it, then you can put anything out you want. Without the artist, they lose all their rights, lose all their money.
Well, this is the scary thing, that there is no limit to what AI can do. As much as it sounds very like, ooh, I can hear John Lennon singing, from years after he's passed away. But now I think it's time for creative industries now to really start looking at how they're going to police AI. If you're a music artist, if you're a writer, you work in film industry now, you now need to think about your career long into the future and make sure that it is protected. And we're not having these conversations because we still think, oh, what can AI do? But clearly it's showing it can be a real big threat.
You can't stop progress, though, in a way, can you?
But you must be able to stop. As an actor, you can't have people taking your image and putting you in a film that you didn't do and you weren't paid for.
Having said that, Tom Hanks spoke out about this.
Yes, he did.
And he actually said, I quite like the idea of an AI Tom Hanks acting after I've died.
Yes, well, that's just world domination, though, isn't it? That's just his ego. He wants to think he's going to still be making films. No one can stop him in 200 years. And in a way, maybe it doesn't matter in 200 years to him. But actually, it is really important that people are paid and given credit for what they do. And it's not just taken away.
Yes, I interviewed Aled Jones just a while ago, the singer, you remember, the Walking in the Air chorister, and he has recorded Walking in the Air with himself singing as an older person, singing alongside his chorister self. And I mean, clearly that's just something your son would understand.
Yes,
totally.
Exactly,
that's music manipulation. But like that's wonderful.
But they're real voices.
Brilliant.
I mean, there was a lot.
In both instances.
There was a lot of fuss
really
made about the latest Beatles record that came out that took John Lennon's voice and cleaned it up a bit so they could use it. And there was talk about, oh, it's an AI song, but it wasn't artificially John Lennon. It was originally
really
John Lennon.
It was improved and enhanced, but it was actually the real human.
None of us have a problem with that. It's when it strays into recreating things, and also, it must be cheaper, mustn't it? Because you're not paying people. It's much cheaper to get a computer to do it. That doesn't mean that's the way we should go.
Right, Steph, let's move on. on to this story. This has really got people going earlier on in the week. This is the West End theatre performance where only black people are allowed in the audience. It's having another night.
Oh, Martin, I've been really thinking about this over the past, 2 weeks since this story came out. And now it's another West End play called Blue, which is about the shooting of a black motorist in the US. And it's going to be at the Seven Dials Playhouse in London. And they have decided that they'll have 2 blackout nights, which is going to be a majority of a black audience, because the producer's saying they're trying to shift the narrative that only white people go to theatres. And for me, I think this is very divisive. I think it will set a deadly precedent, because if the foot was on the other shoe and there was an all-white night, it would be absolutely controversial. People would be saying it's racism. And I think they're kind of getting it wrong here in terms of black theatre goers. If a play's good, black people are going to go. And I think
it's right to say we want more black people to go. I think they've just taken it too far, haven't they? Any form of segregation, this is bad. We do not want to go back to. You have to be one colour or another to sit in an audience. And also, if it's a play about the shooting of a black motorist in that's exactly the sort of thing a white audience probably should go.
Absolutely, it is. Yes.
And it was the same with the previous one. It was about the slave trade. That's the sort of thing that you should say to white people, go and watch this.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're not allowed.
Yourselves, learn about this.
And I think it's quite sad, because I think in the UK we've done really well in terms of being a multicultural society. We have our hiccups here and there, but not to the extent where we're saying we're going to try to exclude white people from attending the play to make
such a
black
backward
people
step.
feel more comfortable.
We were never that bad. Back in the 60s, when our bands went over to America, it was the Beatles, again, who actually stood firm and went, we're not playing to segregated audience. What are you talking about? They weren't used to it, and they refused to do it, and they were big enough to kind of push a change through there. So if they were doing that then, because it wasn't acceptable here, then why is it acceptable now? It really isn't.
All right, Susan, that's a neat segue into the next story. Controversial world performances indeed. Miss World.
Yes, did you know
controversial?
It was Miss World tonight? It's being held in Mumbai. I think it's tonight in Mumbai, and 120 countries will be broadcasting it. 1 billion people will be watching. You won't be able to see it here in the UK. We're not broadcasting it, and I don't know.
Why not?
Yeah. Well, Carol Malone in The Express says it's because of, how does she put it, whinging feminists and gutless television executives. Carol Malone's words, not mine. Saying that, there's been a backlash against it, people saying it is sexist, that we're promoting kind of beauty above all else. Miss World will say, and this article of Carol Malone's is kind of claiming that it's beauty with brains, that our Miss England is an aerospace engineering graduate, Jessica Gagan, 27, and the opportunities that are afforded to the women who do it, the charity work they do, the fundraising it's done, tick, 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 there's all lots of positives there, but... so I can see it from both points of view. I do think if it was on, it wouldn't bother me. Would I watch it? Probably not.
Anne, you've got to tell your story about Miss World.
I presented Miss World in 1985, and from the Albert Hall. We got an audience of 88 million.
Oh, gosh.
Which is pretty good. It has to be the biggest live audience.
Only just a bit less this morning, Anne.
I hated every second of it. On behalf... I mean, I was treated well because I was the host.
What year was this, did you say?
85.
Right.
And... but I sat there and watched these girls, and the one who won, I think, was probably some sort of brain surgeon or something, but they always
Miss Iceland.
Yeah, Miss Iceland was it in those days. Gosh. But all I remember is seeing them being herded around like a herd of sheep, treated... I mean, so patronisingly by everybody seemed to be involved in the whole thing. I was asked to do it again, and I didn't do it the next year because I just thought it was disgusting. And I would never watch it. No. And I don't think...
There isn't a...
They hide behind this illusion that everybody's a brain surgeon and they do want charity work, which they do. They do. The whole organisation generates charity money, but it's still judging people on the looks they were born with.
There isn't a swimsuit section anymore.
I love the glamour of it.
We have to leave it there. Steph, Suze, thank you very much. We'll come back to you more in the next hour.
What you think.
But first, your weather with Aidan McGibbon.